give me a second. I'm just making sure I've got everything in order here. Okay. Yeah. I'm recording this, so I'll send it to you. I'll put it on my YouTube as an unlisted video. So if you want to see it later, so you don't have to remember anything, you know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great playing. Well, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I think it's a bit of a busy week, so the practicing hasn't been as much as I wanted. But
yeah, sure. It's the same here. I've had been a bit naughty about it the past week or so. Anyway, but yeah, we've got to get back into it and do it. That's what we do. Now, okay, great. Yeah. Okay. So the Bach C major, have you performed it, done it in like recitals or state fits?
I started learning it recently, and I only started actually practicing it, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's quite fresh then.
Yeah.
Okay. It's actually quite interesting because, well, say I'm prepared for this lesson because, I mean, it's a very strange thing. Out of all of the Bach suites, when I've performed all of them over the years, the one I've probably performed the most, the specific movement that I perform the most is this prelude. So I have quite a lot of...
I'm putting on this light here because I see it's terrible.
Okay.
Did you say it's the one that you perform the most?
Yeah, probably. Separate movements of the Bach suites, probably. More than the G major prelude even. I've just played it so often. So it's quite a... yeah.
This is my favorite.
Yeah. Well, it's got everything. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the... not thematically, but the way it's sort of written, it reminds you of the third Brandenburg, the first movement.
Oh, yeah.
It just goes on and on and on and on and on. So, yeah. So the thing we need to find with this piece is what to do with it, you know? And of course, as you know, there's nothing really written by Bach what to do. So the important thing, of course, is to look for all of the patterns. What edition are you playing from? Or the Wenzinger, the Bärenreiter?
I think it might be Bärenreiter. Yeah?
Is it the blue book?
Well, I don't have a book. I'm using copies, but
okay.
But it is the Bärenreiter one. But I put in new bowings everywhere where I feel. So it's kind of like my own edition as well.
Sure. So, yeah. No, absolutely. And I don't think anybody doesn't have their own edition. I think what's very important to look at in this music is just the patterns and the patterns and the different just one quick question. Is it your father? It's Peter McLea by any chance? Okay. I was just wondering because we often have arrangements made by a Peter McLea for stuff that comes. So it's your dad. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Now, the interesting thing about this movement, I mean, I'm sure you've seen lots of masterclasses on it and stuff on YouTube. Is okay. The way to really look at it is the first bar. So play the first bar for me.
Well, I was was actually doing that yesterday. I was thinking a bit about it because I mean, in a way, it's 3/4, and a lot of the how I usually start playing it is so in two basically. But then I was thinking of it differently yesterday.
Yeah, the way I like to think of it is really, okay, now the first sort of arrival point is there's no question about that, okay? So the most simplest way to look at phrasing is, are we going towards that, or are we going away from the top into that? Well, going towards it, are we basically phrasing into it or phrasing down to it? So are we going, or are we going, and then you start. So which one did you have?
I personally feel the second, because I feel even though this bottom C is lovely to play, I kind of feel it's a much more bigger statement saying this is the start, this is my instrument, and introducing it powerfully. So and then going on from there for me.
Yeah, so the nice thing about that note, you know, is that you can play it. Let's see if I can move this down a bit. You know, it's I meant that, you know, once we get to that note, you want to sustain it or let it go and just echo, and then sort of here is where we start. So
could it be echoed, like you say, and then brought back in a way? So
yeah. Now, if you do that, then I would think of the bow as a kind of a, you know, that you get the, basically you don't use anything. You just, at the beginning you use it, but then you just let the bow, almost as if you're lifting it off the string. Like that. Well, yeah, but remember the speed. So in the beginning, just go. Yeah, but even then, just don't do. It's a very sort of untechnical thing. You know, it's the opposite of what we're taught with technique, to pronate and to sustain and do all those things. But just to go, just to, you know, yeah. Well, kind of, yeah. But don't really think of an accent. Think of leaning into the. So once you've got it going like that, then you sort of let it. You know those Hindu. Is it Hindu or Buddhist? Those, it's like a thing. It's a bowl that's made out of copper. You know, you hit it, and then there's like a stick which you do that around the edge to keep it ringing.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really how a sound. That's exactly how the sound works with the string. But in this case, it's especially just to, as if, you know, as if it's that loose that it can just do that. But anyway, that's. Would you like to play maybe play from the beginning up until? So.
Okay.
Yeah. Now with the patterns with the Bach, it's interesting. So. You know, a good way to look at patterns is if stuff is working in stepwise motion, to try and slur it together. As soon as there's a break in that, you can break the bowing. So something like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I mean, sometimes we want a bit of separate bowings here, but also, you know, in the beginning, it's better to kind of keep it the same. But I think at the end, I'm saying don't be too quick to, don't be too quick. You know, it becomes a little bit too weighty in the separate. So keep this. It's quite nice with the 4 notes to a bow. And even here, you can, because this is kind of a variation. Yeah. Okay, but now let's move on. So, okay, so yeah. So now we have to do something with that. So you want to, again, it's the same thing as in the beginning. Do you want to come out of a, do you want to come out of that as it's being soft? So you see, I like to think of it in 2 voices. So we kind of have the, I don't know if you can hear me too well over Zoom, but so I kind of have the D string a bit stronger, the A string a little bit more airy. And what I do is I bring the 2 contrasts together. So and then it's like the beginning again, you know. So, but just make sure that they're different, that they're not. You know what I mean? Because the whole thing about this music, with Baroque music, is that it's an ever-changing. You know, it's an ever-changing intensity. It's not such long lines. We shouldn't have long lines in Bach. Otherwise, it's a sort of an overly kind of romantic approach. But go from here. Okay, and a nice thing about, you know, the great thing about this music is that it's unaccompanied. We're alone. You know, you can take time. Now, of course, I understand you want to be in time, and it's important with the structure and all that. But just try and imagine yourself in a place with lots of reverb. That you don't have to be so hasty to get to the next note. You don't have to worry about silences. You know, so don't worry about time. I mean, you've done the, you know, of course, we have to play a piece perfectly in time. to understand it. But you've done that now. I heard it. So now you can relax and take time and do things. Because believe me, after you've played it in time and got all of it technically, when you take time, even if you think you're taking too much time, it's never too much time. Unless it's like overly exaggerated, unless the audience is full of musicians. But so really, just you can even the trick is with taking time like that is that you never make the rubato abrupt. So you can gradually slow down into these parts where we maybe need a bit more space or gradually speed up, but never too abruptly. So I don't mean like don't go.
So you give it back as well.
Always connected somehow. But really, these things, there's always a lot happening. Again, it's the two voices in the piece. Yeah. Okay. Did you get that? Where did you? Okay. Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So I think the connection's just a bit off, but I did hear what you were saying.
Yeah. Okay. What I mean is, don't. If you're going to take time and do rubato, the trick about rubato, the real sort of. Can you hear me? Oh shit.
I can, yeah. I heard everything that you were saying.
You can?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, I heard everything, yeah.
Okay. The trick about rubato is to always make it organic in a way, not to do anything suddenly. So this is the way to actually do this kind of music and to move between the different voices. So so maybe going up the line, we push the line a bit, we drive it, but then coming down, maybe from the top already, just relax and let it slow down by itself. And then at the bottom, find a scoop to bring it back on. So but you want to go from and then carry on? You see here, for example, so you stay in that register, but keep this bow speed. Don't worry about the pressure. So you see we're going up there, and then we can, and here we change direction. And so on. But from here again. like that. I like that. I don't know if you, yeah. I like what you're doing there, but I think you should really stay there. So you did
the bowing.
I rather liked this, but you must, I think you should, it's a good idea, but you should really use it, so that you're not having any weight, that you're just using the weight of the bow. I like that. So I think you should stay there. And then when you want to phrase more, just use more bow. But I like that idea. So you should keep it. You should really keep it. Yeah, I like that idea. Maybe can you go from there?
Yeah,
Okay, just one tiny little thing. Just make sure that you listen to the ends of the notes. The end of the top notes, just to make it, you know, that it doesn't sound like you're interrupting yourself. So no. Let me show you what I'm doing as well. Maybe it'll just be easier over Zoom. So. You see, because in the music, this interruption is already happening by the,
yeah,
or whatever. So. You see, it's a string change already, so there will be weight. So even on the top D here, try and do a little, almost think of it that way, to make it as long as possible, because the music itself is going to cut it off. You don't need to. Unless you're going for that. Are you going for that you accentuate the bottom notes as a kind of a...
No, I think if anything, I was just trying to keep the line a bit until...
Keep it going. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. What you did right at the end now. So the trick to turn that into a phrase is what you did now on the D with the. That's good. So do it a little bit at the beginning already, and then do it more and more as the line goes. Okay. It's an articulation thing, basically, to make the note. You know, so that's the real way to phrase, actually, in music like this, where it's just throughout. You know, it's to always change between long and short. You know, the more we want to phrase into something, the more we go on the string and more legato. The less we want to, you know, if I'm doing something like a, you know, I'm going forward with the phrase. You see, it's not even about dynamics. It's just about the different...
the stroke, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same with Haydn. It'll be the same in the Haydn C major, for sure. I mean, like... So it's very legato. You see how it changes? all that stuff. I mean, the actual way to really impress a panel at an audition, because, you know, we have to be practical. We have to be, you know, business-wise, we have to be very practical about how we make music as well, even if it's something we don't. So the way to really impress a panel is to take the Haydn concerti and to play them in almost as Baroque as you possibly can. You know, that's the way to really sort of absolutely exaggerate the style. That's why it's so great to learn the Bach.
So
yeah.
So for example, like with that. Sorry. I thought you cut out. Sorry.
Do you mean the? Yeah, okay. Absolutely. So it's always between, I know, I mean, the classic way of phrasing for all of us is soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, you know. But with Baroque music, it's about the articulation. Yeah, it's definitely about that. So this is, but anyway, let's go back to the Bach. Do you mind going from the...
from the... Okay, cool.
Yeah, now here, I think maybe with the bowing, it's with this whole section, it's good to try and think of the chords involved. Wait. So, you know, this movement's actually got a lot of stuff where you think the strong beat is actually happening in the third semiquaver of each group of four. So you have but maybe go from here. Again, don't make it too fast. Again, don't let it be a physical thing that it's... Don't let the string crossings dictate your tempo. So really, if you want to do it slurred, that's fine. Just make sure that you're in control of the tempo. But go a couple of bars before, maybe.
Is that the bowing you do? Is to go?
No, I do this. I keep it very simple. Like with the chords always starting on a down. So. And then, now I know the difficult thing about doing it here is that, you know, we always think we end up doing that unless we end up running out of bows. So again, it's an articulation thing. I think of the bottom three notes as sort of one kind of a... I do it like that. That's all that's needed because I'm at the frog. Got my whole arm's weight to just... and then I use the fingers kind of, and then after playing that, then it's a kind of a retake with a flick of the wrist. So it's a fast. It looks like this. It's kind of a. But of course, again, you can phrase by just sometimes increasing the speed of the stroke in between. So you can start short, you know, and then get longer. Maybe when the line goes down in the D string, you can increase and then decrease. And then don't go anywhere so we can board the phrase. Even, yeah, as much as that. And then it's like the beginning, and we're out of the woods, so to say. Yeah.
So it's actually a completely different feel, because I mean, in a way, each chord is then accentuated.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. In general, when we have when you have notes or patterns like this with lots of string crossings, you know, the thing about a string crossing, of course, it's never. I think a misconception is that people think it's higher or lower. You know, we always have people changing with the wrist and going. People changing with their wrist and going. You know, but it's really actually just going around. It's like a steering wheel, one of those steering wheels of a school bus, which is flat in front of you. It's kind of like a. It's not like. It's they're going around the cello into the C bouts. That's why they're there. You know.
Yeah. How would you
That's why they're there. In the beginning, they made instruments. In the beginning, they made the instruments straight, and then they realized on these two strings they couldn't make as good a sound as the middle, so they put these so they could go through there. So with bowing, back to this thing, with a bowing like this, a good trick is to think of it. I know it's. Is to think of it almost that we have the bow pointing always this way. Always this way. Going into the, you know. Of course, if I stuck to what I just said, I would theoretically have to go. You know, but the thing is, on this this very short little note, you know, you've got the weight of the arm to hit it, and it's very short, so. So all you have to do is think about sinking, letting go with the arm weight to go. I'll show you what it looks like from the side, maybe. So from the side, it's like a. You see how it goes? Basically. So theoretically, I should be going back, but because it's so short, so we just end up doing this in the same spot. So it becomes one thing. You don't have to think about so many things. And so on. Yeah, so just think about that. I mean, it's recorded. I'll send it to you so you can come back and look at it. Would you like to just play the section for me? I also like it. I also like it this way. You know, it really depends on how you feel on the day. I like that too. So do you want to play through that section for me, and then we'll move on?
It's the same as you were saying, with like the way going around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buying that somebody where they go.
Yeah. You know, I understand what you mean. Yeah. I just think, oh, you've frozen a little bit. Can you still hear me? Oh. Uh-oh. Ah, there you are. I can see you. I can see you. You're there.
Sorry. There you go.
Okay.
I was saying there's this other bowing that I saw somebody do.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with that bowing. It's too, unless you're using the whole bow very lightly. I know Janov Starker does that bowing. I think Rostropovich also does it. But it's nice, but it's old-fashioned. You know, if you go and play in front of a panel like that, it's not. You know, you even got people eventually going. You know, doing it like that, but it's not. No.
Slava did it like that. So
yeah, I think if you do the bowing that you were doing, just the normal 4-4 notes to a bow, don't do it so much here because it's a bit. Do it in the middle third of the bow. Then you can actually freeze your upper arm, and all you have to do is when the upper arm is still and not going anywhere, then it makes the string crossing smoother and easier. You see, you don't have to do this anymore. Then you can just because I know, look, I mean, yes, if we keep the upper arm frozen and we just bow with only the elbow, then that happens. But in this case, that's what we want because you see that it's doing that by itself now, rather than really watch your upper arm and try and keep it as still as possible. So go to the middle. Yeah, and keep the upper arm as still as possible and just move. Yeah. Yeah, so you see, it becomes a bit of a, it becomes a nice, and the nice thing about that is that it's a relaxed mechanical motion, and then the slightest thing you do to change it changes the sound. So that's good because then you can phrase more by adding a bit more weight, or maybe using a bit more bow, but always returning to this center point.
Yeah.
In general, it's like that. Actually, I should emphasize that's basically a very good way to approach Bach with lots of repeated stuff, is to always get a general kind of a stroke and deviate from it by putting more of whatever or less of whatever. I suppose, yeah. A good example might be the, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So exactly. So you can go. And so on, or like later on in the prelude when we've got well, that's not a good example. Maybe, oh, where's a good example? Here, in the first prelude. Yeah, but after that, yeah, exactly. No, exactly. That's where. So again, keep the upper arm like frozen, like so you. That's the general idea. So look, we can go. And also at the end, we can. To go up in the line. So that's a very good way to try and work on a general stroke. And then. Yeah. And believe me, yeah, absolutely. And believe me, you can take more time waiting. I promise you, it's never too much. Don't be in a rush. Like use the whole bow and wait for time for it to get to the end of the bow. So don't fluctuate the speed. So you see, this is where the technique sort of joins the musicality, if you like.
Yeah.
That you can. Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good way also to approach. I mean, I've heard some people overdo this way of making music because it's in the, of course it's in romantic music as well. Like if you look at the Schumann Träumerei, you'll get people. Okay, generally it sort of goes. Okay, but I mean, I've seen some people go like, I'll just show you my. Right? Okay. But it's a bit, so yeah, that's when it becomes a bit. Huh?
I mean, for me, then you lose the tempo basically.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah, then I mean, people try and think, oh well, he's taking time or whatnot. That's okay, yes, but it's too much. When it becomes too much of a, there's always a proportion. There's always with taking time in music, there's always a proportionate kind of way of doing. So someone just says, yes, take time at the end or whatever, but it still needs to be in proportion. So here, for example, in the Bach, we have we have enough swing in that bottom note. But if you get somebody playing it's out of proportion. It loses the momentum like a wave. A wave goes up, and then it comes down. A wave in the sea, I mean, it doesn't go up and then it's not natural. So it's the same thing with you can kind of connect the new thing to the old thing, but never something that's overly bah.
It's the same stroke the whole time, because I mean, you were showing now how it becomes. And then that's a different stroke completely, but if it's. Then at least it kind of stays the same stroke.
Yeah. It should never deviate too far from what the general thing is. Otherwise, it really becomes different music. I mean, a big basis of all of that music, Baroque music, is that it's written that it's open to interpretation and to the different player. But that's really where, there are a lot of things which Bach and so on didn't write because they didn't need to write, because they knew it would be different in the way people would interpret in those days. I mean, that's why eventually later on with Haydn and Beethoven and so on, we have all these performance directions to say specifically how to play it. But do you want to go from maybe after this thing? So
because I think after that's something I don't know what to do with it musically. So after the but then
I like what you do. I like a lot what you do. I just think of a stroke to really avoid in Bach is 2 and 2. 2 and 2. Either or. But it's, I don't know, it just always sounds. You see, that's how sort of, I mean, I don't want to get too dramatic about it, but I mean, that's sort of how fragile the music is that when we start doing like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, even though we don't want it to sound that way, it just starts to sound, this music is anything but symmetrical. Of course, now and then there are moments where we need it, da-da-da-da, but in a line through of da-da-da-da, try and avoid that as much as you can.
Does it work here?
No. Over here, I would use the triad that's written.
end of that. So to go.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I don't actually do it da 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 da. I do it kind of because of this third semiquaver thing. I kind of do a oh, I do a so. But I mean, it's
yeah. I see. So it's
yeah. No. But remember, keep the stepwise motion slurred, and when it goes to a third instead of a step, then move the bow. So, and now because it's a stepwise motion, and now the third. I mean, on the last one, I even do separate again because it's the phrase. So I have because that's where the whole of this page has just been this. That's where it's going, and then it goes. And then we actually have a pedal point on the tonic through to the end. And so on. So that's the structure of this whole page, basically. This. It's like the end of Jesu Joy, whatever, you know, the gig piece. The or however it goes, you know. It's the idea.
I really like the drawing. But how do you get back to the
I jump, kind of. I don't want to say jump. I mean, I lift. When the stroke is finished, I quickly retake. Or what I do is maybe I work, I think during the separate notes, I move my way back to the frog. So. And it's good because moving your way back to the frog is always building with the phrase. Yeah. And maybe on the last one, just watch maybe on the last one again. So, I mean, yes, I'm doing jumping at the beginning or retaking, but towards the end, I'm staying on the string more for the phrase. So. now longer and longer. Yeah, and the last one even more. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the. Don't be afraid of the last one being too long.
At the after so
Yeah. Oh no, I do. No, I do. Because this is a pattern. Yeah, this is a pattern. So we have the. You know, in Bach, it's full of these patterns. I mean, I can't remember which manuscript it is, but I actually like it a lot. There's a di-da-dum. Those are always also connected, those three notes. It's sort of my little law for my Bach. But I mean, I really like the manuscript where the Bach is actually, the opening of the first prelude is well, I like to alternate. I think yeah. And now so it doesn't make sense, you know. Yeah, also because I mean, otherwise the whole movement is just you know, it's boring. You know, we must always find little things to string them along and yeah.
I mean, but do you at a place like this basically? Or?
No, then I change it. No. Because we have at the last one I do separate because otherwise it sounds too nothing happened, you know? Like that.
There we go.
Yeah, and on that last G, build up enough momentum so that you can have a nice broad F rather than attacking it. So and feel all the weight of your arm coming to the frog, and then let it all sink into that bottom F.
Okay.
Yeah, but use your bow on the last four notes. More like so. Look, yeah, basically like this.
Okay.
More time. Take more time. Don't worry. Yeah.
And the same here. So
if you want, yeah. If you want, you can maybe do it a little bit less if you want to go down or something in the phrase. But yeah, if you want to do it, sure.
okay. So if it's
This one I keep a little bit free. So I let it ring. You see it rings after, so otherwise it's you know what I mean, because there's so much energy. I think I've noticed from performing, we just need as much, in moments like this, we just need as much bow space as we need, so we don't get maybe too excited and get stuck by trying to have enough bow to play that last note. So, and then it becomes a bit of not such a Baroque stroke anymore, you know. So I don't even play the chord for the last notes. I just play the B by itself because that's ringing. We've had it. So
if you go. I don't know how to end it though, because I mean, I was thinking of doing.
No. Well, there are a couple of ways. I know what you mean. I mean, do you want to? Because I mean, we all want to do the classic sort of 2 and 2, but it's not really Baroque. So I mean, we all want to. You know, we all want to do that, but it's not really a thing. So I mean, so you can either do, or you can do, so just quick, like a quick and gentle 2 and 2, like dum da. But I don't really like that. I prefer, what do? I go. I do. So I don't go. I don't do that. I do a kind of a. So you could say basically. I think the danger with rolling chords is that you must be careful not to get stuck, that you don't get to the top note quick enough. Because, you know, I've heard people going, you know, just think of it as one thing that you do with your arm, not anything da 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 or whatever.
Okay, so if it's.
Yeah, and maybe don't use too much bow on the bottom. Don't use too much bow on the bottom. Use weight, so you can finish it nicely.
Okay, so
that you have space, you know. Yeah, but don't sustain. You know, do the thing. You know, do the phrase off that thing. So don't go. Yeah. Yeah. You can, yeah. Just make sure that it doesn't get too. Yeah.
But how long do you keep the top? Because I mean, it could either be or
Something in between. Do
Okay.
something in between. Yeah. I think I've seen also, I think Yo-Yo Ma does it, but I mean, it's also a very unique Bach. Not in this, but in another suite, he does something like, but I mean,
Yeah, that's in the first one.
yeah. That thing.
That's what I've seen him do.
Yeah, look.
Like that.
Yeah, I suppose, but you know, again, I mean, it's nice and all that, but you know, you're still playing. You're still at the stage where you have to do the right. You have to do. You have to do and play all the right things in competitions and auditions, and I mean, there are a lot of things I don't do anymore because I'm doing concerts of my own. I'm not doing competitions or auditions. So I mean, you know, I mean, there's nothing to stop me starting the D minor prelude going. But I mean, you know, the thing is to try and translate your feelings into this Baroque style, because that is so important. I mean, we all want to be artists, and it is an artistic thing, but the thing is, you know, it's job-wise, you know, business-wise, we have to do that.
Yeah.
Until we can afford to do what we want, if you like. So I mean, I would, you know, I mean. So, you know, there are always the patterns and the motives and the little, I don't want to say fragmented, but basically that's how it should be in a way. The structure is kind of fragmented. Not the structure, the stuff within the structure is fragmented.
Yeah, I feel that's the difficulty, to kind of get all of them in unique ways, because I feel I struggle to understand this musically. This is easy to understand for me, but then this, I don't know why, but that.
Well, you can do it like this. So we've had. You know, I kind of. First of all, it's a little remembrance of the theme from the beginning. And now I would take time and then get back into the stuff which happens in the middle of the first page. So just take a little bit of a pause before there. So so you see, yeah, to stay in time there won't work because the problem is we need to bring down the intensity. We need to we need to turn down the intensity. So we need to let that happen. So and so on.
It's a bit like he's kind of what he wants to go to the massive ending, but then he decides to bring it back a bit. So
Well, yeah, otherwise you're going to be bashing away. This is the pianist in him, actually, because this is piano technique. The whole thing about playing and then finding a place to go back, because if you keep on going, by the end you're going to be pounding away, you know, and then there's no real point. I mean, look, I mean, I've heard it done both ways. I just think it's a bit more coherent to have these little corners where you need to slow down and turn the corner a bit.
Yeah, no, because then
you know
if I think you do that, then it isn't as incredibly tiring to listen to. Because I mean, you
well,
have
that's also a thing, yeah.
Afterwards as well. Oh, basically that. I'll practice bowing, but
Yeah.
that whole thing with the build up as well. So I feel so after that. So yeah, as if he wants to carry on and then just pulls back. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and again, there you can let your bow do that thing where you let the bow, so you can have your biggest G. So let the bow slow down. Yeah, but I won't do that. I won't do. You know, that's more for that. That's more for it's more for that moment. You know.
You do something first there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought. And then go into some, but I don't know. That's maybe
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, that's I try and practice it that I get up to the A sharp, so you can wait for the conductor or the pianist to see you. So you go. Yeah, and so on.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'll try that.
Okay, cool. Well, it was nice to hear you play. Yeah, we can meet again if you want a little follow-up on stuff like this. I mean, that's totally fine.
I'm working on the Casado as well. I finished the last movement a while ago and I played it a few times in concert. But I really want to do the second one as well, which is a pain. But
yeah.
It's a lovely piece, but
it is difficult. Yeah.
I don't like it because I mean all the shifting and jumping around quickly.
Yeah, no, that is the most difficult movement in that suite. Definitely. Well. There's no question. I mean, usually the slower movements and stuff like that are more difficult musically. I mean, the last movement, it's not difficult to.
No,
and even technically, it's not difficult.
To me, that's basically the hardest part of the third movement with the chord.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't played it in a long time. Like. Yeah. I have to look at that, actually. I taught it a couple of weeks ago, actually, this movement. I played the piece a very long time ago, quite often, and then I actually, it was a long time ago, like 10 years ago is when I last played it. And then I didn't really think it was such a good piece, but then I started teaching it. I taught it about a month ago, maybe, even by now. And I thought, wow, it's actually really, I should actually really learn this piece again, you know?
I actually liked it. I mean, I feel the same.
No, it's a great piece. It's a great piece. I think I just didn't take it seriously because of...
But I mean,
Yeah.
there's a cellist I saw who he told me to do this at the end instead of because he said this is too boring after all the, so he goes like that.
Yeah, I've also had an alternative ending where it's...
Oh, the young stock, I think.
Yeah. That's actually the best. That's the best. It's the best ending. It's the best performance of the piece ever, as well.
Young stock as well.
Yeah, I've never. Yeah, totally, absolutely.
I plays this so fast.
Yeah.
I can't play it as fast as him, but he does it so fast.
Yeah, I think it's actually more difficult to do slowly.
You do? Why?
It's more difficult because there's a much easier chance of a mistake being heard.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you know the piece, then I think it's harder to do fast. Because if you're playing to an audience who knows the piece well, they're going to hear the difference between and that. So, but I think for normal audience, maybe. But
Yeah.
I think that's a very difficult part. I really struggle with it. That I must still practice a bit the run.
Yeah.
But thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah, sure. We'll be in touch. I've recorded this. I've got a recording of it on YouTube. I'll send it to you. Of the of the Bach C major.
Okay.
Just to see an idea of what.
I think I've actually watched it.
Okay. Yeah. There are two, but I mean, I'll send you the one I think is better. It's one I made earlier this year for something, just for a. Okay, well, great. Nice to hear you play, and yeah, we'll be.